Hola amigos, buenos días to those of you on the West Coast, and buenas tardes to those of you on the East Coast and Central Time as well. Hope everyone is doing good and staying healthy. Thank you for joining us on another weekly series of Hispanic Stars in Tech. My name is Jesse Martinez. I'm the founder of Latinx Startup Alliance and also your host today. This is our weekly series where we cover some of the tools, resources, and people that are supporting our Latino talent, entrepreneurs, and founders with the ultimate goal of helping you make those connections. So as you work on your business, looking to expand your network, you have access to some of those people along with some of the resources that exist in the ecosystem. We also want to thank our dear friends, We're All Human, Hispanic Star, Claudia and her amazing team for allowing us to bring this series to you on a weekly basis. So mil gracias to them. And then, this morning, I'm excited to have a conversation with a longtime friend, champion of the Latinx ecosystem. And so we want to welcome Sergio Marrero, founding partner for RBL1 Ventures. Sergio, how you doing this morning?
Great. Thanks for having me, Jesse. Really appreciate being here. And it's been too long since we've been able to see each other in person. So at least I'm glad we're able to connect virtually. So thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, no, I agree. And how's the family?
Doing well. Just, we're getting ready for the winter. So I'm based in Chicago. So
Okay.
You know how it gets a little cold here.
Yeah, no, it does. And then big Thanksgiving plans?
Yep, going to see family in the New York, New Jersey area. So that's exciting.
Nice. Well, one of the things we always like to do with our audience is share a little bit about who Sergio is.
Yeah.
And talk about, your life and career journey. And you can take as far back as you like, and who you are and, where were you raised, etc.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, so again, thanks for inviting me on. So, my journey into now focused as an investor. So leading RBL1 Ventures, and then also leading the Innovation Fund at University of Chicago that focuses on commercializing tech out of the university. And it didn't start as an investor. It also didn't start as a founder. If I go back, I was always an entrepreneur, tinkering, or always a builder, but studied industrial engineering went to Northeastern University. And even that was a shift. I grew up in New Jersey. Both parents, Puerto Rican descent, grew up in the Spanish Harlem area. They met and ended up moving out to Jersey. I was, first in my family to go to a four-year college. My dad he was a musician, and sisters are focused on graphic design and dance and movers and shakers in their own way. So yeah, grew up in a very creative household, and then went off, studied engineering, and it wasn't until even after I graduated from Northeastern, I always had an interest and passion. I was like, I want to go went to work in consulting at Deloitte, strategy and operations. And I said, I want to go into startups. And I thought I needed to go into business school. So that was and I applied to business school, went, and I was very vocal and active. But yeah, I was, I just came out there and was like, all right, let's do this. And, business school, I would say it's a great experience if you get into went to Harvard Business School and the Kennedy School of Government to focus on impact innovation. Nice. But business schools are not designed per se for founders. It's a great experience if you're, for a number of reasons. I think there are a lot of resources, but, went through there, ended up starting an ed tech startup because I was really passionate about, and still am, about creating access to higher education, and launched 2 startups, ended up closing them, took leave from took leave from my grad school program to work on the startup full time, and ended up getting into Startup Chile and going down to Santiago, Chile, and living there and building.
Oh, wow, very cool. I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. So I made a ton of mistakes along the way, I would say, and I could talk about it. Sounds, we did made all the mistakes. We, launched a product, ran out of money, didn't have the traction we needed, couldn't follow on and raise more capital. So ended up, shifting and going, a short stint in a few venture funds, Gotham Ventures out of New York, before going back and to finish up and launch another startup in the ed tech space. That one was it was a different type of story. We had a team, and then our team was based in Puerto Rico. We did the Parallel 18 program, which was excellent, and then Hurricane Maria came and put us in a tough spot. We were pretty bootstrapped. There was no running water, electricity, on the island for over a month, and just put us in a really tough bind. And we ended up, disbanding at that point. And from there, I shifted into venture, helped build an investor training program, and which led to the very beginnings of RBL1. It started actually as LTX VC. LTX VC, there were many women and people of color, particularly Latino, that came and then were trying to get into venture. And the program I made was expensive, and I was employee one working there, and then very quickly the group became more than Latino. It became Latino, Black, women, and we shifted the name to RBL1, and then continued it till today, where we have trained now over 1,000 people around the world, mostly on the investor side, and we do a lot of free. We have free and paid programs, but really democratizing access to how to build wealth, whether it's as an investor or as a founder. That's really our mission and vision. So that's the long story. No. And there's a lot of happy to dive into any of the points, but hopefully that gives you some color.
Yeah, no, you did, and there's a lot to unpack there. And so let's go all the way back to high school. And so how did you decide that you wanted to go to college, right? Because we always talk about, the first going to school, going to college, and going through this whole discovery process of like, where am I? What am I doing?
Yeah.
Who are those support groups around you, right? Because, when you go away as well, right? It's you're kind of just trying to figure things out on your own.
Yeah, I think what's amazing at that point, and I remember this. I remember a teacher, one of the teachers, and he was very privileged, had his own mindset. But I think at that point, because I wasn't surrounded by a lot of family members that had went to college, and when people like, oh, what's your goal? Like, what is like getting into college was one, and then even afterwards, people are like, what are you most proud of? You're like, getting into college. Like, it was like you couldn't see beyond it. Like, it was but I was really passionate about at the time, really passionate about math. My parents, said, just, apply, you should, it wasn't a question of like, if they wanted me to go, they were like, you should definitely go.
Right.
And one thing I would say is, for those that are like high school students considering is, it does change, your trajectory. One thing to be careful of is debt. So making sure I would definitely go, but also apply to a number of places and see who will give you the most money and be most affordable as well, so that you can leave with that flexibility of having low or no debt. I think it's a privilege for a lot of people that they go in and they don't realize higher education debt is now, I think, 1.7 trillion like so I'm an advocate of going, most definitely, but also selecting wisely, not blindly, and thinking about your major and thinking about what job will that major help get you. And I can, they have majors on everything, but if you I'll use my sister as an example. She really loves art, went to an art institution, and she ended up studying in graphic design. And she also does like book arts, that's like making books. Like
Right.
that's a minor. She chose graphic design to make sure that when she left, she could get a job in, doing design for a large company. And I think that's, important. It's, I think, a lot of especially Latino families are like, it's passion, you're passionate about it and you'll just find a job. And that's not, that's not always true. So yeah, I would say math. Yeah, math and science, and science, it's the combination of, what you're passionate about, what you're good at. And talk to people that are in the field. So
right. And then how did you come to select your undergrad college, and then how did you select industrial engineering?
So that's funny is I didn't know many engineers. So I applied to a number of colleges. There were some that I ended up choosing Northeastern University because they gave me a scholarship to, because of the work I was doing as an undergrad. I came there and I just knew I was passionate about math, which is why I chose engineering. Like I didn't really know which, we hadn't, like a extended family member that did civil engineering. So I spoke to him and I was like, I'm gonna do what he does. So I'm gonna do that. And then when I went into class and I was at the university, at the end of the first year, I had to declare my major, and industrial engineering seemed like the most versatile. Well, they're all versatile, but it was a engineer looking at how to efficiently manage people, systems, machinery and equipment. Like it just sounded much broader. It was like I said that sounds like a business. So I chose the one that was closest to business, but was still technical because I really enjoyed math. So.
Cool. And thank you for sharing that. I've had that conversation with many Latino youth, right? Oh, I just want to be an engineer. Well, what kind? I don't know. Right. So
and it's just making sure I think one thing that didn't exist, that now that I tell everybody, I was like, go on Coursera and edX and though like some world-renowned colleges for like $50 a month, I think, and that might seem like a lot, but for the value and exposure you're getting, like it's hands down, like that would have, I wish I knew about that. Well, I wish it was around.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
Yeah, we didn't have that, but I would say it's so weird today because what you're really paying for in a lot of institutions is the community and the network and also the indicator. What I mean by indicator is the paper, the degree, right? That says you completed certain things. But if you are really curious and hungry to learn about a specific subject, you can probably find more relevant and more current information online. And it's true, but it's it doesn't mean that indicator and community is not important, but also it means that if you're like, oh, I can't go to college, so I can't learn about X, that's no longer an excuse. You need the internet and a laptop, and you can learn, just about anything there is out there. So that's
so true. I'm part of the encyclopedia generation. And then the Thomas Register. I don't know if you remember those, the green books for businesses, right? That you would just leaf through. So lots of flashbacks there. And then you went to consulting, and so how did you get that advice, that direction that you wanted to, do that type of work?
Yeah, that's a good question. So at the time, Northeastern University wasn't a top school. So this is by going to, I mean, now it's, I think it's moved up the rankings and now is a little bit more respected than it was, but consulting companies didn't recruit from Northeastern. So I originally found out about consulting from an organization that they launched a pre-MBA program. At the time, it was called NSHIMBA, National Society of Hispanic MBAs. Now it's called Prospanica. And they don't do the pre-MBA program anymore. I wish they did, but there was a speaker there that talked about consulting. And I said, that sounds great. You get to travel, you get to work on different projects. So you're not like picking one job. It feels like, so many different things. And it sounded like many people did that and then went to business school. So I said, I heard them speak at a panel and I said, I like him. I want to be like him. And I remember his name, Alex Ulanov is his name. He's actually Latino and Eastern European. But I remember him talking and I said, I want to do that. And I started applying to events and I needed, so here's an interesting story. I was at Northeastern University. I met a friend through this event that was also in college applying to business schools. I learned that all the consulting firms were recruiting at Harvard. And so I got the information on when they were visiting and I went to Harvard and crashed the informational sessions as a Northeastern University student. I would say, some firms didn't well receive me because they were like, what are you doing here? But some did. And Deloitte did, which is really cool. And that's where I ended up. They were like, I respect the hustle. I respect that you just wouldn't have found you because we don't target your school. So, one thing I would say is different hacks, I would say, for college folks right now, and they're like, oh, I want to expand my network. Look at top schools near you, around you. Look at conferences that are happening, and your students, sometimes they're free, sometimes they're, like $50, $100 a conference, like you're talking about, get student rates and go. And the people doing that, are remember, they're paying sometimes 5-6 figures to go to school, and they're getting this immersive experience, and you're paying $50 to $100 and getting access to a snippet of it and that network. But hearing those panels, hearing the people they're speaking, can really change your perspective and change your life. And that is another hack, I would say. Step one, what edX, Coursera, to learn anything. Step two, taking advantage of all these conferences that these large graduate universities, just go. If it sounds interesting, make the effort and go, and it'll change your whole perspective. I think those are the two hacks that I think are low cost and you can hustle your way into the a network to get exposure, because that's really what it's about. So
it is. I love it. And thank you for those hacks and sharing them. And for me, it was telling my founders and mentees, just show up, right?
Yeah.
The first step is just showing up. And then the other hack that I had, my younger years in tech, is volunteering for these large tech conferences.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And so, because they were expensive.
Oh my God.
I can't afford $1,000 plus. And so
same thing. Yeah, I would. That's what I said. I said the graduate school conferences aren't $1,000, right? So I would say, when I say conferences like graduate school, go to look at the Harvards, the Whartons, the Stanfords. They all have different conferences, student-run conferences. But like you said, I did the same thing. I remember TechCrunch Disrupt in New York. I wanted to go. I wanted to get exposed to the startups and I ended up behind stage, talking to one of the VCs that invested at the time in Pinterest. And I was green in the space, I was, and that's what I did. I volunteered for the conference, and for volunteering, I got free access, and, I couldn't afford to drop $1,500 at the time. But it really changed the game for me. So like you said, I totally agree. That is another hack.
And so, adding to the hack, then I knew, right, if I volunteered, when people asked the staff, right, the volunteer crew, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to be a speaker escort.
Okay. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So when they arrive, greet them, get them checked in and then walk them to the green room. And
Yep.
so then I had that little one-on-one time as we did the walk and to just learn about each other. And so
That's
that
awesome.
was my major hack. And so, I started doing that back in 2010. So,
That's great. That's great.
Yep.
That's yeah. I've done so many different events, and
mhm.
it's been powerful to say the least to get into rooms of people that I wouldn't, I wasn't there. So it was nice.
Exactly.
It was
Yeah.
great. So yeah.
Yeah. And then, jumping to Harvard, like again, why Harvard? How did you learn about Harvard?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was through that pre-MBA event that I went to that I learned about Harvard. And that's what I would say is to the folks that you're like, oh, there's no pre-MBA event, or like look at whatever college you're excited about, even if you don't think you could get in, or like don't think about that. Think of like look at the student conferences they do,
Mhm.
like the graduate ones, if they're doing like I went to an MBA conference, and it just totally changed my perspective of the community there. It made it more real.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, like this is like these are normal people. They're just high achieving, like they're and they I applied to Harvard initially and I didn't get in. And then I applied to a program that's called 2+2. So that program you apply to in your junior, senior year of college, and you
Right.
get in early. Applied, didn't get in, but what they do is they call you back to get, you prepped. So what is it? Uh, one of the administrators called me,
Yeah.
gave me feedback, and she's like, "Who helped you with this?" And I was like, "No one. I just filled it out and put it." I thought that's like, and there's an application, you fill it out, and I didn't understand that for graduate school programs, these, wealthier families, or like everybody gets some sort of help usually, like and meaning a friend looks over it. And I think that was a shift for me I think asking for help earlier in life was seen as a weakness, where now
Mhm.
it's like,
Yeah.
like that's how we do well. So I think that was another hack and shift is just started asking for help. And she said, join MLT, which is called Management Leadership for Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And they do a pre-MBA program. They also do college programs. So for all those that are watching, look up these organizations.
Yeah.
They're amazing. And they, really, again, changed my perspective, brought together Black and Latino students from all across the US every year. And as they go through the process of applying to top MBA programs, and they basically tell them the like how to package themselves. It's
Right.
not, and that experience helped me get into, reapply, get into Harvard Business School, and then also the Kennedy School of Government. So I did the Harvard Kennedy School of Government, which is a joint degree program. So I get my
Awesome.
master's of public policy and the master's of business at the same time. And it's a lot of school. Wouldn't, like you gotta really want to do it. But I did that because I was passionate about the intersection of business and government, and
Right.
how to accelerate not only for-profit startups, but that are focused on impact. So I think that is where I've been excited about and passionate about, and that's what led me there.
That's great, man. And yeah, it's all about that awareness and being exposed, right, to people, programs, knowledge, and then sharing that. I was thinking about that New York that launched Latinx MBA, and so brand
Yep.
new, right? And so it's nice to see that,
Yep.
be founded. And so it's good. We need those resources, and
Yep.
MLT, they've been doing great work for such a long time
Absolutely.
as
Yep.
well.
So bringing the community together for sure, and just there are a number of different ways to a number of different ways to go about like making that impact, but really getting out there, joining these organizations, staying active, and talking to people about what you want to do. And half the battle, I think, is yes, showing up, but also knowing. Like sometimes I just, you just don't know, and that's how if you ask people for help and tell people what you want to do, they'll go, oh, have you heard of this, or do you know about this? And that's I think part of the journey. So
Yeah, I was sharing in one of my talks last week about the old days of finding jobs. You would look through the paper, and then you would see a employment ad, and then you would fax in or mail in your resume, and then just pray, right?
Yes, yeah,
get the call back. And
yep,
so
absolutely
had that flashback. And then you jump into startups. Like how did you learn about startups?
Oh man,
So
yeah, the startup journey is a what does it say? It's like the I don't want to say love hate. Like it's like the thing you love, but it's really tough. And like I said before, I talked about launching a startup and it failing, and that like just the whole, like you name it, I've probably been through the scenario. But there were years I didn't make any money for the whole year, because I was just using savings and grinding and trying to build the product that were out to product. But how I was first, when I was at Deloitte, I said, hey, I want to do something that is impactful but makes money. I left, worked on a startup called US Adelante. So that was the first. It was focused on getting more Latinos into schools, and realized after doing a lot of research, and understanding the model that we wanted to do is more of a non-for-profit, like, which is fine. It's fine, which is great. But I think part of my interest and thesis is how do we start business, do businesses that make money, and then also that are positive in the product and service they're creating. So ended up shifting still in the education space, and really I was just starting from like I didn't know. All I did was I was reading books. I was listening to podcasts. I read the Lean Startup. I was talking to friends. I was going to startup weekends. Like, for people that are interested, like that's what I would, go do those things. And then I went off to business school, and I would say that's where I would say is if you want to start a business and you're saying, oh, I want to go to business school to start a business, I would caution, because when you leave business school, as did I left with, 6 figures worth of debt. It's like buying a house, right? And when you leave, if your startup is still not moving optimally, like meaning you're not making enough money from it, you can't do that full time. Like you could just have to be prepared for, like, those loans are gonna come due. You're gonna need to pay them. So I did that. I launched a startup, took actually a pause in my grad school program. We got some money, worked on it, launched it, and made all the mistakes. Like, moved, like when we went to Startup Chile, amazing program, but it was also very far from our customers. So it's like all the things I didn't know is like, you should be close to your customers so you can get feedback from them and iterate really quickly. We outsourced a lot of the development. It was like, I didn't know you should just prototype and deliver what you can with what you have, rather than outsource something that's critical to you. All these little, micro things, and really stressed myself out so much. And, we were so broke, I was losing my hair. It was crazy. I was like so stressed out.
It's come back now.
Yeah, no, it's back now, but then after it closed, it was like, what am I gonna do? It was like break, bottom, for me, I was like, what am, hitting the bottom. I took a month, over a month, almost 2 months, and I just backpacked across South America. I didn't tell you, I went by myself, solo, was like reflecting on like, what do I want to do? This didn't work, and this is what I came here to do. Like, I came to business school to start a business, and I left to like get this to work, and it didn't work. And I went back to Startup Chile, and I was doing founder training. Because I was there and was like trying to be helpful to some of my other teams, other colleagues. And took the ed tech skills and started creating like curriculum around that. And that became a hobby that that I took with me. And then I went to start another startup. And when I say the next one, we launched a product, got, initial prototyping, got funding, and we were making our way. We through and had amazing organizations we were part of that helped us get there. Like Halcyon is a social enterprise incubator in DC that we were a part of. Parallel 18, we were part of the venture program at Harvard. Harvard University has the Harvard Innovation Lab. So we were part of all these programs, like building while we went. And when we had a team in Puerto Rico and Hurricane Maria came, it was unfortunate, something we couldn't foresee or manage. But really taught me that if you want to do something disruptive, you need access to cash to get you through tough things like that. And if you don't have that access, you have to shift what you're making. So what I mean is, if you want to, let's say you believe flying cars are the next thing, you need access to a lot of money to build something like that, because there are no flying cars on the roads. It's a market that doesn't exist, and it may exist in the future, but it's going to take you a long time to get there. So to make that, to bridge you to that future, you need money, a lot of money. If you can't get access to that money, you need to calibrate what you're working on. Like, you can't work on the flying car. I mean, you can, but know that it is just tough, and it's highly unlike, you shouldn't go at it blindly. And I think I went at it blindly for a bit, and and I think a lot of these other, successful founders are like, go, passion is everything. And I would say, like, hold up, take a step back. If you want to build a flying car in the future, maybe right now you can create, like, what can you create that you could make money from right now, right? That's related to what you want to do. Maybe it's creating drones and selling them. Maybe it's creating, I don't know, small planes. Maybe it's working for a company that's innovating in the space, which is what I probably would recommend. That way you're getting paid and you're learning and you're on the edge of the space. Like, so those were things that I know now, but I just kind of went at it, ran out of money and crashed. And then, we launched another startup, and but then I was hired by a new I was employee one, like building a new investor training program from scratch out in San Francisco, and took my founder training, kind of flipped it on its head. They were like, hey, can you run the training, but can you train investors and, build out a proper program? And I had never, I knew how to see into startups and coach founders from the founder lens. And then it flipped around. I was like, yeah, like, if I were an investor, this is what I would ask. And then from working and seeing how investments were getting made, I became an investor. Then, I was running the process. I very quickly can dive into this. I was like, this startup, this is what I don't like. This is what I like. Like, that founder, like, this is what's missing from that process. It was very easy to shift gears. Sorry, that's the dog. But I think that was the main shift. And then that led me to, that led me into the investing side. And then I was exposed to this problem of, okay, wait, most of the people around me are very privileged, and a lot of them are not people of color. So what can I do to help the Latino community and other communities of color learn more about this profession, like learn more about how to be an investor, and not necessarily send them back. And that's what Rebel One became. Like, we developed this whole program, and we've scaled something that used to be very, we also only used to serve like 20 people a quarter. And then now we can handle, because we have so many tools, everybody gets individual feedback and that help them. And I think that is, has interlaced into my mission of how do we enable more people to build wealth in our community. So.
Yeah, which is so important, right? When we talk about wealth and prosperity in our Latino community, diverse communities, and what are the things that we can do now right? And then what is that long-term platform, right? So that people just grow over time, which I'm excited about, having you come out to Houston and do some trainings. There's a whole new emerging ecosystem there.
Yeah, I would love it. I think, I love Rebel when we did a lot of research on cities outside the coast, outside of the New Yorks and San Franciscos. Those are, I mean, they're great places in terms of the caliber of talent. But there are other amazing, capable people and in other areas like Houston and other cities. And it's how do you get these, how do you get people to talk about innovation and early stage startups, work on things and try to build from scratch. That's why I try to keep it real. I was like, being a founder is I think it is glorified and most end up not making money, but it is a service. Like when you build an organization and you hire a person or people, you start employing them, and that's part of the economy. Like it's a powerful thing. Like, it's like, you're like, okay, like this is how this works. Like people like me need to exist in order for this to happen. So that's something to think about. It's a duty, responsibility, and there's a place for it. And then also building wealth. So not only you could be successful and be a model for others, but also so that you can, support your community. So.
Yeah. No, well, thank you for doing that work. I mean, it's so important, right? For investors, for founders, especially for our diverse communities, and that they're a part of it. And, we've seen more and more programs and initiatives launched because of, what we've gone through as a country. And so, we have to take advantage, right, of these times and then the resources that are available and go build, right?
Absolutely.
Build.
Build. That's it. It's like, it's like build and keep swinging.
Yeah. And so when we look at, 2022, what's new? What are you working on? What can we look forward to?
Yeah. So for us, having crossed, trained over 1,000 folks, mostly on the investor side, the goal for next year is to keep going on that realm. Can we introduce the next, it took us 2 years to get to this point. Can we do that next year? Can we double it to next year? And I think that's our humble goal, but a big goal to reach. And then also start connecting more founders to the individuals that want to invest. So that is the next thing, is even if we've invested in 7 founders over the last 2 years, and syndicated that capital from the group.
Awesome.
If we can't serve you, right, we're talking to like 600-700 founders a year. If we can't serve you in doing that, we will, make an intro for you, and we're building a tool to help with that. So yeah, what's next for us is, for folks that are interested in investing alongside us, like come find us at vcmembers.com or rebel1.com, either one. And if you're a founder, come, find my LinkedIn. I have the link there. We will either consider supporting you in some way, connect you to resources, and do what we can to help connect you to the ecosystem and make sure you're successful. So.
That's great. Such a valuable service. And so, for on the investor side, right, for new investors and people that want to learn about investing, are you supporting both accredited and non, or?
Yeah, we do. Like to learn, you don't have to be accredited to learn. You have to be accredited to invest. So and the training that we have talks to being an accredited investor. That's actually an interesting story. When I first started like trying to learn to be an investor, I applied to a program and they said, "Are you accredited?" At the time I said, "No, I'm not accredited." And they're like, "Oh, you can't come listen and learn." And we've changed that. Like there's for us, we operate differently. Is like there's no barrier to learn. We do, a number of free training, and we have paid programs too. And people who take the paid programs know that, that helps us do a lot of the ecosystem and free work that we do. So that's, and we have, a range of offerings. So that is, for anyone, like I said, vcmembers.com, or you can go to rebel1.com/invest. Either one will get you to that. And happy to welcome folks. And it's been a lot, like I think we may be the, one of the largest numbers of like cross, Black, Latino, and women-led programs across. So we're super excited by the work we're doing, and want to continue to partner with others, like Jesse, to make make great work happen. So thank you thanks for having me.
No, thanks for sharing, and the work that you're doing, especially being able to provide these opportunities for those that may need scholarships, right, to attend this type of training. But I love the fact that you don't put a requirement of accredited or not. If you want to learn, right, we're open to you to come in and learning. So
absolutely.
So important. Any other ways of how we can be of help?
I would say for if you're an investor, feel free to message me to join the Rebel One network, even an investor or aspiring investor. And if you're a founder or an aspiring founder, message us. Even if you're not looking for investment at this time, any way we can connect you to our community. And we're all about how to help more underrepresented investors as well as underrepresented founders get into the space, and so we can create that community to help each other succeed. So
awesome.
But awesome. Thanks again, Jesse. Appreciate it.
Of course. And I'm just going to ask the audience, if you have any questions for Sergio, please put them in the Q&A. But we still have them here. And then we could probably do a whole nother session on just your founder journey, right? And the lessons learned and the tips and tricks.
Oh man, that's
a
whole, I would say, I tell people, first thing I say, I've gotten so many messages that people said, I quit my job, now what? And I tell them, don't quit your job. Go,
go back.
Go back. And I say, always start as a side hustle. Our program is actually like our founder training program that we started, that starts from an individual and an idea, like at the earliest stages. We call it side hustle because, I understand the numbers. Women and people of color are getting single-digit percentages of venture capital. And I said, I do want that to be different. Absolutely. But since it isn't different, rather than going, oh, poor me, I am probably not going to get venture capital. Well, let's start things where we are, right? Let's start, don't quit your job, make sure you have an income and sustain yourself, but start your business as a side hustle until you prove out your hypotheses, right? Like you prove you can develop a product and people can pay for that product, and people will pay for that product. And until you get that flywheel moving, and it does require a bit of work, then you can think about, should I leave my other role? Can I? But until then, I would, not for everyone, but I would say, like, for a majority of folks by number, I would say there's resources for you here. So that would be my one piece, is always start as a side hustle. So Jesse's the king of hustles. He's got so many hustles. So I remember meeting Jesse. I was like, how many things do you do? And he's like, like I do this and that. It's great. So that's
always learning. I love to learn, and how do we help and champion our Latinx founders and others, right? Just all around tech. That's the umbrella. But if you have any questions, again, audience, please put them in the So Sergio would be happy to answer them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Here to answer questions.
Yeah, and then we'll see if any questions pop up. But any final words of advice to your younger self?
Oh man.
As we wrap up here, what's top of mind for you?
I think a little younger, I wasn't, it's like there's this balance between like being bold and staying humble, which is hard to do. But I think I would have just asked myself to, one, ask for help, and then two, I think I didn't ask for help soon enough. Like, and that goes from investors to, it's yeah, I would say, asking for help, and then just making sure that you surround yourself by people who are going to keep pushing you, but constructively, like in a way, not people that are just gonna, beat you up, but they see the more, like they're striving to, like there's mentors that are just pushing you because they know you can do better, but then there's also just other people that are striving to be excellent. And I think that's one of the things that I mentioned Startup Chile. While it wasn't wise to leave where my customers were and go to another country, even though they gave me money to work on it, and develop that community, working side by side other people that were hustling just as hard and working on theirs was really motivating. And just surround yourself by those folks. I think that's community and asking for help. Those are the pieces. So
those are big, right? Finding your tribe.
Yep, finding your tribe.
Finding your tribe. And then the other one, which is asking for help, is definitely culturally related. And then the other big one is just, it's okay to fail, right? And so when we think about startups in the world that we're in, you can fail multiple times, and you know what? That's okay, right? And so you just gotta pick yourself back up and move forward.
Yep, definitely. So, appreciate the time today. So yeah, thanks for having me. And
likewise, we have a shy audience today, and so
okay, yeah, no problem.
No question, but I'm sure they'll follow up and ping you on LinkedIn and then also on the website. And so, well, as a proud Hispanic star to another one, Sergio, we want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sharing your life career journey, some of the insights, certainly some of the hacks that you've used over your time in tech. And just thank you for being honest and transparent. And we know that the work that you're doing today is very important as we think about the efforts that are helping to lead to a more diversified tech ecosystem, both on the founder side and also the investor side. And so mil gracias for that. So thank you. And then also thanks again to We're All Human, the Hispanic Star, Claudia and her team, for allowing us to bring this weekly series to you, Hispanic Stars in Tech, the 2021 series. And then in addition, if you want to learn more about the Hispanic Star, make sure that you go to hispanicstar.org, the website. And then another really cool thing is that if you're not able to attend the summit in December in New York at the UN, there's also a registration link to attend virtually. And so look for that on the website as well. And so be safe, stay healthy, be strong. Remember to wear your mask and get vaccinated. And we'll see you guys after Thanksgiving. Have a great Thanksgiving. And thanks again, Sergio. Appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Brussels. Bye.
Bye.